For the pillow, you will need 3 pieces of fabric. They can be quilting cotton, home decor fabric, or even fleece. What's important is that you have 3 pieces that are at least 19 inches long by 12 inches wide, so you can use fat quarters or just use scrap fabric. You'll need some ribbon or twill tape and a bag of fiber fill. This is what is used to do stuffed animals or pillows. This is an 8-ounce bag. As you can see, it's really soft and fluffy. Next, I traced the pattern on these plastic sheets that you find at the dollar store to create a template. I have added the link to this pattern down in the description. And the pattern comes on one side only. The pattern designer suggests that you print 4 of these patterns, 2 on regular size and the other 2 on mirror, so you flip them. However, I only printed 1 and just traced both sides to have half of my pattern instead of having all 4 pieces together. I will be cutting the fabric on the fold. Once you have your pieces cut out, make sure that you add woven interfacing. Now we're going to mark a little V on each corner. So here at the very end, you'll see the little star. So this is where the star is, right? So we're going to mark here at the half point mark about a quarter, 1/8 of an inch, and we're going to mark a little V, just small enough that you can see it, but not too deep that it gets into the seam allowance. So just like that. We're going to do the same on the other side. And cut a little V. Before taking this to the sewing machine, make sure you have your 2 pieces of ribbon, they're 12 inches each, ready to attach them, because these are going to be the handles on the sides. Join 2 of the pieces, right sides together, and pin them on one side only. And you're going to pin them from the little V here that you cut all the way to the next V. Consider liking this video and subscribing to this channel if you have learned something today. take the ribbons and fold them in half to make a quick handle. I stitch them in place using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Take the 2 panels here that you stitched together, and you're going to take your handle and place it right in the center where that seam is. So half of your ribbon, one half will be on one panel and the other half will be on the other panel. A quick tip: do not place the ribbon right with the raw edges like this, because this is an area that you're going to possibly be pulling, and you don't want the ribbon to eventually come loose. You want to have a little bit of fabric, a little bit of extra fabric in your seam. So that's usually what I do. And so I'm just now going to pin this in place right there. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Now take the other panel and we're going to join it to either side, whichever you like. I'm going to choose this side right here, right now. And right sides together, you're going to join only one side of the panels together. And we're going to start and stop stitching at that V point that we marked originally, right? Making sure that when you stitch it, that you include half of that ribbon. So for example, I have half of my ribbon here and I have my V. So I'm just going to align these together so that my ribbon is in between the V on this panel and the seam of the other 2 panels. And on the other side as well. You can also add a small little line or marking down the center of your ribbon just to make sure that you place it where it's supposed to go. And so I have my ribbon in between the seam, and I'm going to take the other panel, find that V point and place that V down in the center where that marking is for my ribbon. And now I can just join them together. I'm going to put a pin here so that I can hold it in place. So now that everything matches, I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and stitch them in place. Stitch these 2 panels in place. So here are the 2 panels I stitched a minute ago, and now I'm going to stitch these other 2 together. And I'm going to start and stop stitching right at that V point, right there, right at that V point, making sure I catch my ribbon. And then I'm gonna stitch all around it, all the way to the other side, and I'm going to stop right there at the middle of the V point. Again, ensuring that I stitch my ribbon in place. So we only have one panel that is stitched on both sides. This panel is only stitched on one half, and this other panel is only stitched on the other half. So now we have this side that we need to join. We're going to do the same thing. we're going to start and stop right at that middle point where you have the V. And back stitching, always back stitch. Remember, when you start and when you stop stitching, back stitch about 2 to 3 stitches to secure that stitching. We're going to join these 2 panels together, beginning at the point where the ribbons are. However, we're going to leave about 3 to 4 inches of an opening here to turn this right side out. Take it to the sewing machine and remember to also back stitch when you get to these lines. You're gonna stop, back stitch, stop, and then start here, back stitch, continue, and end here and back stitch. Before turning this right side out, we are going to work the seams. I like to trim them a little bit, and where you see the corners, cut some slits. Okay. And like for example here, I like to, let me bring my little trash can. And I like to trim these off a little bit, making the seams a little skinnier. It's a little bit easier to work when they're like that. And just cut some slits here, making sure that you don't cut the stitch line. Iron, hot iron, because we're going to open the seams for all of these panels. So what I do is I just take one side and I just start pressing it, and I go around the curves carefully. Like this. Okay. Do that for all the seams that you have on all 3 panels. When you get to the one that has the opening here, I want you to also press it just like that. Even though it's open, you're going to follow the stitch line and you're just going to press it like this. And I want you to do it on one side and on the other side as well. Just like that. Okay. And of course around the corners, that will actually really help when it's time to turn this right side out. So go ahead and finish doing that on all the sides of all the panels on all 3 pieces. Now we're going to turn this right side out. You're going to use your fingers to push the corners out like this. If you have a turning tool, you can use that as well. But I'm just going to use my fingers, and I'm pushing like the 3 corners out. And here's the handle. Okay. And here you have your pillow, kind of all right side out. I am going to take my iron and I'm just going to press some of the seams out. The instructions don't say to do that, but I like to do it anyway. And this is the opening. You see how, because we folded this before turning it right side out and pressed it, now the seam, it's already inside that opening, so I don't have to worry about that. And I can open this a little more and just press it. Now we're going to take our fiber fill and stuff our pillow. This is the fun part. You are going to add as much as you want based on how you want your pillow to feel. If you want it very soft, I guess you don't put that much. If you want it a little bit more firm, you put a lot. So I'm going to start stuffing it at the corners, all 3 corners on one side, and then the other 3 corners here. And I figure if I start on both ends towards the center, it should help. So I'm pushing the fiber fill to the corners as much as I can, because I like to have my corners here full, right? I want them to feel like there's enough in there. So when I do that, I still have a nice wide opening here where I can put more of this fiber fill. And I'm actually going to use the entire packet. Entire 8 ounces. So now we know 8 ounces is is one pillow. Because I don't know if with the wear and tear, the pillow will eventually get really soft. So okay. I mean, it has to be enough. I don't have any more fiber fill. I don't have any more. Okay, so I guess it has to be enough because I do not have any more fiber fill. The next step here is to close the seam. The instructions say to close it by hand, doing blind stitching. I'm going to do that. I figure, I guess you can always also take it to the sewing machine and stitch it that way. Make sure you back stitch beginning and end. But if you don't want to do that and you want to stitch it by hand, then you can do that. I'm gonna give it a try. So now they have instructions on the website where I got the pattern from on how to hand stitch, blind stitch by hand. I've added the links to that down in the description, but I am going to do it now. And the final pillow is here. Look how cute it is, and it's actually very comfortable. I tried it and I loved it. You will not be disappointed. Okay, I'll see you in the next video. Ciao.